After the sudden passing of my father, I found myself lost in a haze of grief and memories. It was during one of my visits to his old house, trying to sort through his belongings, that I stumbled upon a mystery that would lead me down a dark and twisted path. As I made my way through the cluttered rooms, a glint of light caught my eye from behind a bookshelf in the study. Curiosity piqued, I moved closer and discovered a small old wooden door that seemed out of place. I had lived in this house my entire life, yet I had never seen this door before. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, I reached out and turned the rusted handle, only to find it locked. Without much thought, I grabbed a nearby crowbar and with a few forceful strikes, the lock gave way and the door swung open with a creak. Stepping inside, I was enveloped in darkness, the only source of light coming from a single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. The room was small, almost claustrophobic, with no windows to let in any natural light. My eyes quickly adjusted to the dimness, and I realized the room was filled with an assortment of items. Stacks of old notebooks lined the walls, recording devices lay scattered on a small table, and yellowed photographs of our family adorned the shelves. My heart skipped a beat as I picked up one of the photos. It was a picture of my parents and me on a family vacation, but there was something off about it. Standing in the background, partially obscured by shadows, was a man I had never seen before. Confusion and unease washed over me as I sifted through more photos, each one revealing the same mysterious figure lurking in the background. Who was this man, and why was he present in these seemingly innocent snapshots of our family moments? I felt a chill run down my spine as I turned to the notebooks, each one filled with cryptic scribblings and dates that made no sense to me. Lost in a whirlwind of emotions and questions, I decided to take the notebooks and recordings back to my own home to unravel this strange enigma. As the days passed, I became consumed by the mystery, spending hours poring over the contents of my father's secret room. The more I delved into the notebooks, the more I realized that my father had been keeping meticulous records of this unknown man's presence in our lives. There were detailed descriptions of interactions, observations of his actions, and even transcripts of conversations that my father had apparently overheard. It was as if this man had been a silent but ever-present presence throughout our family history, watching and waiting in the shadows. One particular entry caught my eye, a date that coincided with the day my father's health had taken a sudden turn for the worse. The entry spoke of a confrontation between my father and the mysterious man, a heated exchange that ended with a cryptic warning that sent shivers down my spine. Determined to uncover the truth, I turned to the recordings, listening intently to the voices captured on tape. As I sifted through the static and crackling, I heard snippets of conversations that painted a chilling picture of a clandestine past, of secrets and lies that had been kept hidden for years. The more I listened, the more I began to piece together a sinister puzzle. It became apparent that the man in the photographs was no stranger. He was a shadow from my father's past, a figure of darkness that had haunted him for years, driving him to the brink of madness. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I delved deeper into the mystery, following a trail of clues that led me to a remote cabin deep in the woods. As I approached the dilapidated structure, a sense of foreboding washed over me, but I pushed forward, determined to confront the man who had cast a long shadow over my family. Inside the cabin, I found a single room, bare except for a dusty old armchair facing a cracked mirror. And there, sitting in the chair, was the man from the photographs, his eyes cold and calculating as he gazed back at me. For a moment, we stood in silence, two strangers bound by a shared history of deception and betrayal. And then, in a voice tinged with malice, he spoke, revealing a truth that shattered everything I thought I knew about my father and the legacy he had left behind. As the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place, I realized the extent of my father's sacrifice, his desperate bid to protect his family from a darkness that had long since consumed him. And in that moment, as the truth of his actions washed over me, I understood the weight of his burden and the depth of his love. With a heavy heart, I left the cabin behind, the echoes of the past lingering in the shadows. And as I walked away, I knew that the mysteries of my father's secret room would forever haunt me, a reminder of the price paid for keeping the darkness at bay.